Hello there, it's Mr. Rops.
And this is Mr. Cole.
Right, and we're going to do some percentages today again, and these are going to be the harder kind of problems from as opposed to ones we did yesterday. But one of the things that we always are going to try and do for all these problems is we're going to always try and have a value multiplied by some multiplier, which is, we'll call R because it's a percentage, a rate of some kind, is going to equal to the final result. So that's kind of going to be our approach for all these problems. So let's take, the best way to do this, let's do an example. So a radio is bought for $16 and sold for $20. What is the percentage profit? Now, you guys should pause right now, try it yourself, see if you can come up with the same answer. Okay, you're back now. Okay, so your answer. So if we're going to do this one, I would think that I have $16, right? And I'm going to multiply that $16 times some rate R. And when I'm done, that means I'm going to end up with $20 left. Solving for R, I divide both sides by 16. And when I do that, let me go over to my calculator on the side. When I do that, we get 20 divide 16. And we get R is equal to 1.25. So, Mr. Cole, what does that mean now?
Well, this means if you know your decimals, then 0.25 is 25%, so it's 25% more than what you started with.
All right, so more. The 1 refers to the 100%, which was the 16, and this is the more than. So this is 25% profit, right? More, or profit. Profit. All right, let's try another example then. Okay, let's take a look at the second problem now. So a car is sold for $2280 at a loss of 5% of the cost price. So if I'm in the car business, I buy a car for some cost. And I have to take that cost and multiply it by my multiplier. And then I'm going to end up with $2,280 left. But if I have a loss, what's my multiplier going to be this time there, Mr. Cole?
Well, first, I guess we need to make sure we know what we're expecting this cost to be more than or less than the price that we've got there. So we want our cost to be slightly more. So
right.
We're going to make it less by timesing by 0.95.
All right, so if I multiply by 0.95, because 95% is what this value is of the original cost.
Right.
Right. So I have my equation again, value times the rate equal to the answer. Just do simple algebra on here, divide by 0.95. And if we do that, we can see that 22280 divide by 0.95 is 2,400. So the cost is going to be $2,400. This is the original cost. Does it make sense that that's the case? Because this is more than what I got for it. I've lost money on it. Sounds good so far. Let's try another example here. Here's a scenario where we have won 10 euros in a lottery. Hooray! Too bad it wasn't more than that. There's two ways we can collect the money. We get to choose which method we're going to do. And so we can increase our 10 euros by 5% and then decrease it by 5. Or we can decrease the 10 euros by 50% first of all. And then, what's it say? Then, oh.
Nope, let's get that calculator out of the way.
Yep, and then increase it by 50%. Okay, so let's do a part first. I'm going to take my 10 and I'm going to increase it by 5%. So that means I'm going to take my multiplier. I want to make it bigger. Here's the 100%. I want to increase it. So I multiply it by 0.05. And when I get that, I end up with, I can do this one in my head, $10.50. Now I got to take this value and decrease it by 5%. So I'm going to take this, and if I'm going to decrease it by 5%, I'm going to multiply it by 0.95. Did I do that right there, Mr. Cole?
Yep, I'm with you so far.
All right, good. I'm always never sure if I'm talking nonsense or not. So we go, 10.5. Oh, hold on. 10.5 times 0.95. And so I end up only making 9.97. Let's make that an 8. 2% must go to the government in taxes, 2 cents. Okay, euros. Euros. Okay, now, if we do the other scenario, how are we going to do this other scenario there, Mr. Cole?
Right, I guess so. This time we're going to take our 10 euros.
Right.
And we're going to need to decrease by 50%. So we need to multiply by 0.5. So remember, decreasing is always less than 1.
Right.
Okay, so you can do that in your head, hopefully. Right. So that's 5.
$5, okay.
Okay.
Now, is this 5 the same as this 50%? Or do we subtract it from 1?
Well, in this case, 50% is 50% of something is the same as 50% less.
Right. So, but if this would have been a 70%, then this value here would have been 0.3?
0.3, right, yes.
Okay. So now we have 5, and we are going to take our $5. What do we do now?
Okay, so we need to increase it, so it's going to be times by 1.5.
1.5. And if I do that multiplication, I can do that in my head. I get 7.5. So I get 7.5 euros. Keeping our units there. The better deal, which is the better deal? Section A. Justify the conclusion because I end up with more money. Because I have more money. By calculations. And I've shown my calculations. We always have to show our work when we do these. All right, last problem of the day. Let's move up here. Okay. So we have, this is a different scenario than all the past ones. And our value multiplied by a multiplier equal to something, I don't think it's going to work in this case. We know a team's record is 20 wins and 25 losses. So currently, right now, that team has played 45 games. To qualify for the playoffs, a team must win 60% of its games played. What is the number of wins needed in the remaining 15 games for the team to qualify for the playoffs? Well, if there's 15 more games left, that means in total they're going to play 60 games. Okay? So, what are we going to do now there, Mr. Cole?
Okay, so I guess we need to figure out what out of 60 is going to give us 60%.
All right, so x out of 60 is going to be 60%. And to show that by 0.60, there's our 60%. Now, to solve that, if we just take this, we multiply both sides of the equation by 60, and when we've done that, we should end up with x equal to 36. Now, so this is 36 wins that they need to have out of 60. Now, currently I have 20 wins, and we are going to play 15 more games. And if I win all those games, let's say I win them, I end up with 35 wins. We have a problem here, Mr. Cole. What's going on?
It looks like they've run out of games. They're not going to qualify, are they?
Right.
No matter what happens.
Right. There is no way to make the playoffs. And that is the end.